I hope you all are doing good today. It's been a long time that I have posted videos, so I have decided today to talk about the common topic, which is feminine and masculine. So I have heard this various videos related to this divine feminine and divine masculine, which has been in the spiritual, in the psychological field. And also I have noticed a lot of guilt around this subject, um, and also a blame game going on between the couples, saying that you are not feminine enough, you are not masculine enough, that is a reason it's happening to me, that is a reason why I'm like this. So I have seen this in the collective at the current time period. So I thought, let me just talk about these subjects in depth, and let us see what does this mean. So I will be talking about it right from the origin of the division of sexes, and how it is in the present and how it is going to be in the further. So before getting into these topics, I want to talk about two more topics, which is epochs and spiritual bodies. So I have talked about epoch and spiritual bodies in detail in my other videos, and I will post the link of that video in this. Still, I want to give a gist about it so that I will be able to explain it how the division of sexes happened. So let's start with an epoch. What is an epoch? An epoch is a time period where a certain development takes place within a human soul as well as within the planet Earth. Okay, so within the time period, a certain development has to be completed. That is what an epoch is. If that is not completed, then it is left behind, and the higher aspect of it, which has achieved that completion, will move into the next epoch. So that is what an epoch means. So an earth contains 7 epochs. Our previous epoch was known as Polarian, Hyperborean, then Lemurian, then Atlantean, then post-Atlantean, which we are currently in. Then we have 2 more epochs, which is 6th and 7th post-Atlantean epoch. So when our earth was in the Lemurian epoch, it was during the middle of the Lemurian epoch that the division of the sexes happened. Okay, so previously the organism was an androgynous being or a bisexual being, and it was more of etheric in nature. Okay, so let me talk about etheric, which is our spiritual bodies. So we have different spiritual bodies. First is a physical, then the etheric body, then the astral body, then the spirit self, then the buddhi, then the atma. So it was during the Lemurian, we were the earth was more of an astral and etheric in nature, and the human organism was more of an etheric in nature, and we had both, that human organism had both the male and female polarities within it. Okay, it was not separated. So we will see in the Bible, it says that on the 6th day, God created male and female, He created them. So on the 6th day, it was that androgynous man, or we call it as the Elohim man, that God created, which had both the positive and the negative polarity within the same being. Okay, and it was during the middle of the epoch that this androgynous man was divided into male and female for further evolution. So the God, or we known as the 7 Elohims, they came together on the 6th day, and they decided to create a man in their own image. And that man, that androgynous Elohim man, had both the sexes within him, and he was more of an etheric in nature. Okay, the physical body was not that prominent. It was more of an etheric body which was prominent. And after 6th day, after they have created this being, they rested, which means they have completed the greatest creation, and now they are moving into a higher realm. The same way, once we complete a certain project, a certain task, how we get promotion as a manager and senior manager, the same way in the spiritual realm, once the greatest creation has been done by the 7 Elohims, they rested, which means they were promoted into a higher realm, which is known as the Yahweh, the I am. So they were promoted into the Yahweh being. And what happened on the 7th day, these 7 Elohims, they gave a part of their Yahweh being, they made that Yahweh being part of the Yahweh being to further evolve the human organism which they created. So this Yahweh being is related to the moon planet, a planetary planet which is related to reproduction. So he decided to further divide this androgynous man into a male and female body. Okay. So when this division happened, it happened in such a way that a part of the soul which went into the formation of a male body, positive body, and another part of the soul, which is the etheric body, was withdrawn inwards into that physical body of the male, and this etheric body was negative charge or feminine. In the same way, a part of the soul which went into the development of the female body, and the other part of the etheric, other part of the soul, the etheric body of it, was withdrawn within her, and that contained the positive or the negative the positive charge or the male etheric body. So what does this mean? It means that male body contained a female etheric body, and a female body contained the male etheric body. So even though from the physical perspective they were separated, but within them they had both the polarities. A female body had the male etheric body, and the male body had the female etheric body. So like I described before, we have different spiritual bodies. Just above our physical body, we have the etheric body. So my etheric body is a male charged etheric body. So in the same way, male's physical body contained a negative charged a female etheric body, his female energy. So hence we know that even though physically we are separated, but internally our spiritual bodies, our etheric body contain the polarity of what we have in our physical body. So we both have masculine and feminine energies within us. So I hope that you all understood what the division of sexes actually mean. So this was how the first man and woman was created, and they had their body in perfect. There was no corruption there. Okay, it was in a very perfected state. And I also want to know that so the etheric body which we have is what gives us life. It is very close to our physical body. Okay, if any damage in the etheric body, it damages our physical body. The etheric body is what recharges us, gives us life. It is also known as prana in Eastern traditions. It is what gives us the energy to do certain things. It contains the life force energy. If you take that if you extract the etheric body from our physical body, you will die, because that is what gives you energy. It is what gives you glow and the health you need. Okay, and our etheric body is the opposite of our gender. Okay, so even when we go to sleep, our physical body and etheric body remains here, but our other bodies will move to the higher realms, but our etheric and physical body will remain with us. It is only after our death that our etheric body will separate from the physical body. Our physical body will decay while our etheric body gets taken back. So this is the anatomy of the soul. So I hope I have made you understand how the division of the sexes happen, and how each person have their feminine and their masculine energies within them, how each gender have their own feminine and masculine energies. Okay, so next let us see how did the distortion of this energy happen. Okay, at which time period did this distortion happen, and how it has affected the planet Earth, and what are the forces which led to the distortion of this etheric body, we will be seeing. Okay, so let us see how the distortion of this feminine and masculine energies happen within us. So we all have heard about the story of Adam and Eve giving into the Luciferic temptation. So like I mentioned before, the male and female which was created by the Yahweh God was perfect. The energy was perfect at that time. It was when the female, because she had the Kriya Shakti in her, the energy of procreation, and the male had the Icha Shakti, which is the power of will. So the Luciferic temptation could be achieved only through a feminine body, because she holded the power of procreation. So she gave into that. She desired for the knowledge of good and evil, which is another topic I will discuss later. And that was the first fall. So what does that fall mean? The fall means that we had a more spiritual nature. Our bodies were perfect, and due to that fall, our spiritual nature was taken away from us, and we fell into a very dense state. The current body which we got is because of the fall. Okay, the previous body which the male and female had was completely different. They operated in a clairvoyant consciousness. So what does that clairvoyant consciousness mean? For example, if I talk to a person and that person is full of love and compassion, if I had that earlier clairvoyant consciousness, I was able to see the quality of love and compassion in that person. Okay, and the physical body was not much prominent to me. So my eyes operated in a different, a higher vision. Okay, so after the fall, that clairvoyant, the spiritual vision was taken out, because the man and female involved in eating of the knowledge of good and evil, and instead of seeing a clairvoyant vision, they were seeing Maya, which means, for example, if a person is full of lust and greed, but in the outer expression, I was not able to see that. He looked pleasant to me. The same way, if a person is of a good character, but his outer expression shown me a different view. So it was Maya, it was different, it was opposite. So this kind of a contradiction happened after the fall. We were not seeing reality as it is, okay, because we fell from that higher consciousness, from the clairvoyant consciousness. We fell from that, and we have fallen into Maya. Okay, that is what we known as the sin, and it happened because we ate from the tree of good and evil, and it led to the creation of the lower mind, and the lower mind creates illusions. So I will talk about this in other upcoming videos. So this was the first step where the fall of man and female happened from their higher consciousness. Okay, and later So all this is happening in the middle of the Lemurian epoch, okay? But towards the end of the Lemurian epoch, what happened is, um, the females, the feminine body was more in spiritual nature. When they started, it was good, but towards the end, the feminine body, the feminine, they gave into more into the luciferic temptation, and which ended up in black magic and seductions, and very evil things that we cannot even talk about. So because of those stuff, luciferic stuff, the feminine energetic body was completely destroyed. And towards the Lemurian, it reached the peak that it has to be destroyed by fire. Okay, and next was the Atlantean. In the Atlantean period, what happened towards the end, the masculines, they involved into much of materialistic pursuit, uh, much into technological stuff, to the point they completely destroyed their feminine etheric body which they have, the emotional body which they have. They completely destroyed it, and this happened due to the influence of Arman or Satan. He is the god of materialism. So he got involved into the etheric bodies, and hence it was during that point there was the distortion of the masculine energy. So it was during these two periods mostly where the distortion of the masculine and the feminine energies happened. Okay, since the souls, since we, our energetic bodies got distorted during this period, automatically the energetic body of our earth also got distorted. The same way how we have an ether body, etheric body, astral body, our earth also has the etheric body, astral body, so forth. Even the bodies of the etheric body of our earth got distorted, because the children involved within our earth, right, our bodies got energetic bodies got distorted. The same was shown on the earth etheric body as well. So I will show you a picture here. So if you look at this picture, we will see that this person has two triangles. One is the upward triangle, other is the downward triangle. So the upward triangle represents the female moving upwards, and the downward triangle represents the male giving the life. So it is the complete balance between these two energies. So if we are clairvoyant enough, we can see this kind of an energetic formation around a person who has his feminine and masculine completely intact. So this is how divine feminine and divine energy, divine masculine energy within a person looks like. The same diagram goes with our planet Earth too. Our planet Earth too, before the fall, had a perfect upward triangle and perfect downward triangle, and after the fall, this energetic triangle got completely destroyed. So if you see a distorted feminine, if a person has a distorted feminine, we won't see such a proper triangles within their energetic body. We will see a distorted diagram, a distorted formation. The same goes to the male as well. So this is a reason why at the current point of time, the present time, we have seen a lot of issues between the male and the female in the external world. That is because for if a feminine has a certain anger or a certain revenge, feeling of revenge towards the masculine energies, or a certain irritation towards the masculine energies, that is because her own masculine field, which is her own etheric body, is being distorted. It is not in the proper triangle as we see. Okay, and if a male has certain kind of irritation or anger or certain hurt towards the feminine gender. That is because his own feminine etheric body is being distorted. The upward triangle around his energetic system is not, we will see it as in a distorted form. So that is a reason why we have a lot of problem between the male and female in this current epoch. It's the um, repercussions we see, which we have carried from our previous two Lemurian and Atlantean epochs. So now we understand what this distorted feminine and distorted masculine is, and we understand how a divine feminine and a divine masculine looks like. Okay. Okay. Now let us look at the various ancient symbols, the symbols which the ancient people they used to represent these male and female polarities, and the complete balance between them. Once it is achieved, it is said that it will lead to a greater development of an individual self. So let us look at the different symbols which was used. The first symbol is the Sadducees. Okay, so if you see the image, you will see the symbol of the two snakes that are coiled. Okay, so the the one snake represents the feminine energy, the other snake represents the masculine energy. So this symbol you might have seen in the medicals, in hospitals and medicals. They have taken this symbol for the overall health and development, but it is actually taken from the Greek philosophy. It represented the Greek god Hermes. So he had the staff which said that he was in complete balance between his feminine and the masculine polarities, and he have achieved that masculine and feminine polarities. Okay, so it is the balance between the masculine and the feminine energies that each person have. Once that balance is achieved, he will reach the enlightenment. That is what is represented here as the wings, and the crown here shows the enlightenment which he has received. This is one of the symbol for the feminine energy and masculine energy. So the next one is the Chalice and the Sword. So this symbol has been taken by many the Celtic old European people. So here the sword represents the masculine energy or the will, and the chalice represents the Holy Grail. It represents the feminine energy, which is more of emotions, water, fluidity, and the sword represents the will, the masculine will. So it is the balance between these two as seen in the diagram, where a man is complete, a wholesome man. A whole man is made by the balance between his feminine and the masculine energy. That is what the symbol here means. And then the third one is certain traditions represents the masculine energy as the sun energy and the feminine energy as the moon. Okay, the sun represents the life, the will, the energy it gives. The moon represents the emotions, the waters, the form it creates. So this is another symbology, and you can see in the image that perfect balance between these two is what makes a whole man, a whole person. And the other one, this symbol is familiar in in Asia, in India, and in other places as well. It is also known as the lingam and yoni. So it represents the male energy and the female energy within each individual. So there is a lot of uh, people who has prejudice against religion say that it is talking about the external genitalia, but that is not at all true. So the ancient people, they were completely talking about the masculine and the feminine energies that each person had, and how integrating them creates an whole person, will help in the development of the inner man as well as the spiritual man. So the other stuff is just a perverted version of the transcendental wisdom. Okay, the real meaning is about the feminine and the masculine energies here. Okay, so now we have seen the origin of the division of sexes, how it got distorted, and we have seen various ancient symbols that have been used to denote the alchemy of these two polarities. And now we will talk about the topic how we can achieve, how we can turn our distorted masculine and feminine and bring into complete harmony. Okay, so that is what we will talk about now. So at the current point of time, uh, most of us have, almost everyone have this imbalanced energies within each one of us, um, except the great sages and avatars. They have this complete balance in them, but currently at present time we all have this distorted polarities within it, within ourselves. So like I said, we have been carrying it right from the start of the Lemurian and Atlantean epoch, which means our etheric bodies have the distortion which we carried from our past lives, which is the spirit lineage, as well as from our ancestors, from our generational lineage. So we have the deformations carried from our generations and the deformations carried from our past lives. So it is very difficult to deal with all this and to bring into complete balance. Okay, so uh, let me explain little more about how does this distortion you know make itself known in our current time. So when a soul enters into the womb of a mother, uh, it brings itself an etheric body and also an astral body. So the astral body is what contains the fruits of our the lives which we have carried before. Okay, if it is negative or positive. So these uh, effects of the lives which we carried before, which is present in the astral body, will bleed itself into the etheric body. So like I told you, the etheric body is the polarity of the physical body which we created. So that is the first spirit lineage. Okay, the second is the blood lineage, which is the generational traumas which we carry, okay, through the blood. So this physical trauma which we carry is also being bled into the etheric body, because the etheric body is the one which gives us the energy, which gives us the life force, which gives us the prana to do everything. It is what keeps us alive. So the the deformation which we carry from our soul, which is again positive, a male kind of an we can put it into a male polarity, and the blood lineage which we carried from our ancestors, from our grandparents, it's another other feminine polarity. So we have this deformation from these two sides, okay, which comes and forms in this etheric body. And now we know why we have lot of confusions and anger and all this kind of problems happening in this current world, especially between these two sexes. It's because of these things which we carry in our blood as well as in our astral soul, which pours itself into the etheric body. So how can we clean it? Uh, how can we transform these deformities which we got from our ancestors as well as from our past lives? How can we alchemize it? Okay, and how can we uh, bring back our um, perfect male and a perfect energetic body, how female energetic body? How can we build it back? Okay, so it is not an easy stuff to do. As I have explained, the amount of trauma we carry when we are born on this earth. Okay, so before uh, I mean before the crucifixion of Christ, the sages knew about this. The sages knew that it was the complete uh, um, the the complete formation of the masculine energy and the feminine energy is what is the first step into the spiritual development. Okay, so what they did, they went into certain meditations, certain techniques to clean themselves, to get their perfected masculine and feminine energies intact, because that is the first step into the development of your soul, because it was the first thing that was taken away from us. It is our energetic male and female energetic system that was being destroyed. That is the reason why we are still into all this. All the evil we see today is because of those distortion which happened. Our sages and that great men of God, they knew it. So the first thing they did was to bring back their perfected bodies, their etheric bodies, to get their feminine and masculine energies intact. So they went into meditations, they did certain techniques, they lived their life in meditations and stuff. Okay, to get their body to build their energetic body back into proper into a divine feminine and divine masculine energies. But currently that is not how it works, right? We all have works. We can't leave our families, we can't leave our things and go and do certain stuff, right? So as a solution, a great event occurred, okay, 2000 years ago. It was the mystery of Golgotha. It was the crucifixion of Christ. Okay, so the Christ, he was the great Sun Spirit. Okay, even above the avatars. So his descent into the earthly matter, not just his birth, but the crucifixion, the event that happened in Golgotha, where the blood which he carried is of a high, um, he carried the spirit of the sun. The blood that was bled into the earth entered into the etheric body of the earth, and it has turned the distorted etheric body into a perfected etheric body, and it has changed the earth into a bright shining star. This deed of Christ, by shedding his blood, has created a perfect, uh, defect free, bright etheric body for the planet Earth. It's not only for planet Earth, but it's also for each one of us. Okay, by communion with the body and the blood of Christ, in communion with the Christ being, which is now present in the etheric realm of the earth, we can transform our etheric bodies. Okay, we can bring our etheric body into the complete balance. We can bring our positive, our feminine and our feminine and masculine energies into complete balance, into complete intact, by taking in the by being in communion with Christ, by taking in the blood of Christ into our etheric body every day. Okay, we don't have to do all that. I mean, that's all those cruel and strict methods in order to bring us back into the correct formation of our etheric body. Instead, by being in communion with Christ, by taking in His blood and His flesh, we can bring back our etheric body into complete balance. We can achieve this. Okay, so this was one of the greatest event which happened in the humanity and in the earth development. Okay, any deformities which has been carried from the ancestral lineage or from the um, or the spirit lineage, like I explained before, there is nothing that is so difficult for the blood of Christ that can be cleared. It's by taking in that force which is present now. Previously it was not present, but currently it is present. We can take in that every day by incorporating into our lives, that we can achieve this complete union of the masculine and feminine. We can turn ourselves into a divine feminine and into a divine masculine. And also I want to say that before during when the man was divided into male and female, and the consciousness that they operated was the clairvoyant consciousness, but they did not have an individuality. Okay, they were not working with an ego consciousness. It was more of like a group consciousness. Okay, so whatever the Elohims has given them, they will receive it. So there was not a kind of freedom. But now, after the crucifixion of Christ, we can have He has given His ego, we can have His individuality as well as His blood and the flesh. We can clean our etheric body and we can have our individuality too. So which means when we perfect our divine feminine and divine masculine energies, we do not have to work with an group mind. We can have our own freedom, our own individuality, which was given through Him. So whatever we are going to achieve in the future is much greater than what we came from. The bodies which we had before the fall did not have freedom, did not have a sovereign I am. Okay, but now after the fall and after the incarnation of Christ and His event in Golgotha, His shedding of blood into the ether body of the earth, and by taking that, communing with that, we can not only clean our etheric body, we not only perfect our divine feminine, divine masculine energy, but we can also have an individual sovereign I am within us. So the future is going to be much greater than the previous one. Okay, so this is the greatest gift that each one can have. Okay, now I want to just talk about how this divine and divine masculine and divine feminine energies was taught in various traditions, and the various stories, and the various songs that was written in relation to this divine masculine and divine feminine energies that each one of us have. So the first here, this picture is known as the yin and yang. Okay, so we can see here the yin and yang. So this was used in the Chinese philosophy. So let me read it. The yin and yang is a concept originating from ancient Chinese philosophy, representing two opposing yet interconnected forces that create, influence, and maintain the universe. It's not about good versus evil, but rather about the dynamic interplay of complementary forces. Yin is typically associated with darkness, cold, passivity, and the feminine, while yang represents light, warmth, activity, and the masculine. The symbol of yin and yang, often depicted as a circle divided into black and white teardrop shapes, embodies this duality and the idea that everything contains the seed of its opposites. So you can see in that image that one has the feminine and the other has the masculine, while within the feminine there is a masculine and within the masculine there is a feminine. So this is what I explained before, that our feminine body has an etheric male body and our masculine body has an etheric female body. Okay, so the another tradition, it's not tradition but a psychology known as the Jungian psychology. So there is a famous psychologist known as Carl Jung. So he has described about this polarities which exist within each person. So let me read that to you. In Jungian psychology, the anima and animus are archetypes representing the unconscious aspects of the opposite gender within an individual. The anima is the feminine archetype in the male psyche, while the animus is the masculine archetype in the female psyche. They are crucial for personal integration and individuation, allowing individuals to access their true selves. Anima. In men, the anima embodies qualities like sensitivity, receptivity, and emotionality, which are traditionally associated with femininity. In women, the animus embodies traits like logic, assertiveness, and ambition, and traditionally associated with masculinity. The anima and animus, when integrated properly, represents the wholeness and the balanced personality. Carl Jung believed that integrating the anima and animus is essential for individuation, the process of becoming a unique and a whole individual. But the negative side, when these archetypes can be projected onto others, particularly in romantic relationships, leads to the idealization or disillusionment. Both anima and animus have developmental stages progressing from basic characteristics to more complex and spiritual manifestations. So this is what we see from a psychological perspective. Okay, so now let us see various tradition and literature which talks about the relationship that each person has with his divine feminine and each person has with his divine masculine. There were songs written about it and there were stories written about it. So today I want to show about the literature which is in the Bible known as the Songs of Solomon. So the Songs of Solomon has about 7 chapters, and the entire chapter is the conversation between the lover and the beloved. So here it actually talks about the relationship that each person, a divine masculine has with his divine feminine, and a feminine has with his divine masculine within his own soul. So that is what the whole songs and chapter talks about. So this is one of literature which represents the divine romance between each person's polarity. Okay, so the last one which I want to show is this image. This is also known as the Ardhanareshwar or the androgynous man. It talks about the male and the female polarities here. So we all know this is known as the Shiva and Shakti. So here, let me read it out. The image conveys complete balance, joy, and presence. This is Shiva and Shakti, the union of sacred masculine and feminine consciousness that lies within us and throughout the cosmos. In union, Shiva and Shakti make up the half woman lord known as the Ardhanareshwar, which I talked about, the Elohim man, which was created before the similar archetype. The image of Shiva and Shakti is in concert is a truly beautiful one to gaze upon. This androgynous figure shows the union of masculine and feminine aspects of our being, which brings about a mystical wholeness within. According to Shaivism, one of the major branch of yogic philosophy, there's a divine masculine energy that takes form known as Shiva and a divine feminine energy that takes form of a goddess Shakti. So even this talks about the feminine and divine feminine and the divine masculine energies that we all have. Okay, the female body has a divine masculine and the male body has a divine feminine. That is the meaning of this image. Okay. So hence we know that we all have the masculine and the feminine energies within us. A woman has a male etheric body or a male energy, and a man has a female etheric body and a feminine energy. So it is up to us to bring these two energies in balance. When we bring it in balance within ourselves first, we will see the change happening as a collective, as a whole. Because the first step to go back to the spiritual world from where we came, the first step to develop our other spiritual bodies is by bringing in union our divine masculine and divine feminine, not in an olden tradition way. That does not give us a individuality, a sovereign I am. Okay, but this time we are developing it, bringing it in a complete balance with a sovereign individuality. And what is this individuality? It is not the individuality which we got from our parents, not from the external world, or not from the past lives, but it is the individuality which was given to us as a free gift from Christ. The Christ ego which will shine from within us. Okay, so we are going to build it through the Christ ego, our complete divine masculine and the divine feminine. We are going to build this beautiful etheric bodies through the communion with Christ. It's going to be much more greater, much more beautiful bodies than we had before the fall. Okay, this is much more greater what we are going to get, what we are going to become. But we need to take it as a responsibility each day. And also we know that each person have these energies, which means a woman can be gentle, compassionate, loving, warm, as well as she can have the leadership qualities, strong boundaries, and the logical thinking, the assertiveness. She can work with these two energies because she has them both. Okay, in the same way, a man can be gentle, compassionate, warm, emotional, as well as he can be strong, having boundaries and have leadership qualities. He can have both qualities as well because he has his feminine energies within him. Okay, so just before we came out of the Lemurian period, um, like the each gender was restricted to his own functions. Okay, for example, the woman was restricted only with uh, the occupations such as giving birth to children and you know uh, getting she worked more with the forces of the soul, so she was more of a psychic in nature. Her work involved giving birth to children, taking care of the household, while the feminine while the masculine, he worked with the will he had. So it was him who went to the war and who was in the leadership positions and who had that strong boundaries. So that qualities was given only to the male. So this happened when we just came out of the Lemurian, and it was needed so that further these energies will be neutralized in the external world. But now we are living in a complete different epoch. Okay, now you cannot push a male to be only the breadwinner of the home, the only the protective person of a home. You cannot push that person to have just only the masculine qualities, and the same way you cannot push the feminine to be to have only the feminine qualities such as giving birth and being only gentle and warm. Because if you push the feminine the female and male to only work within that qualities, it will either lead to the regression of their inner development, and also for the male it will lead to over progressiveness of their development. Hence this equilibrium between their own male and female energies will not be achieved. Okay, each person should have their both masculine and feminine energies. In female, if you only if a female only involves in child giving or cleaning the house and taking care of the home only within those limits, what happens is that she will never get in touch with her inner masculine. Okay, she will project her inner masculine over to a husband or a lover or a religious organization, but within herself she will never be in touch with her inner masculine qualities. What will happen? It will lead her into a regressive state. Her brain, the logical part of her brain will remain uninvolved. Okay, the same way, if a masculine is only pushed to be a protective, only to be a money making machine, or never to show his emotional side, if that is pushed too hard, then he will end up completely not being in touch with his feminine etheric body, that he will completely destroy his emotional body, that he will end up being too progressive in nature, which is exactly the imbalance between his feminine energy and masculine energy. Even that will have its own serious consequences. Okay, so it is the responsibility of each individual to be in touch with his own feminine and own masculine energy, which will make him a unique individuality through the taking in the individuality of Christ and being in communion with him. Okay, so that is all I have for today's topic. I hope you all understood, and if there is any questions you have, kindly post that questions here and I will try to answer them all. Thank you.